All right, guess we're back on now. Yeah, welcome. This is Crucible Tarot. Thanks so much for joining for this reading today. This is going to be for the sign of Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant for the month of July 2026. Can you believe it is already July? We're no longer in the middle point of 2026. We are past it. It just beggars belief sometimes for me. Like when I think about how quickly the time's moving and just how much little or just how little time that we actually have on this planet to really just kind of enjoy, grow, and evolve. So I try not to take that for granted. I try to savor each day as I go through the procession of life and cherish it as a gift as much as possible. That said, on that somber note, we're going to get straight into Aquarius's reading. So for you, Aquarius, we'll be reading using two decks. They're going to be the originals, the OGs of the decks in my collection. This is going to be the Moonology Oracle deck, as well as the Trusty Dusties of the original Rider-Waite. This is the very first deck that I bought when it came back to getting into my studies again. And to this very day, they've been serving me well. I love them. Now, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give it a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. And additionally, just support the channel in whichever way you can. I've seen a lot of consistent growth over the past couple of months, so I'm really excited about that, and I hope that that growth continues on. So rather than posting 3, videos in a day, I kind of want to give more like a drip feed so that people are more engaged. It seems to help out quite a bit. That's it. Let's go ahead. We'll get straight into it. So for the Moonology Oracle deck, we have the card Full Moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in your way. Now, when we have a full moon, it typically talks about the accumulation of, or the culmination, rather, I should say, of events that lead to a specific point. Well, when that point happens in Leo, is at the point of self-expression, the point of, the ego identification, things of that nature. So you may be expressing yourself, you may be coming into your own and finally getting out of your shell a bit more, being a bit more public, allowing yourself to enjoy games, fun times and stuff. Of course, it's summertime, so that would be quite resonant with that message. However, it is important for you to avoid the downsides of those things where it says, don't let pride get in your way. That specifically talks about the ego and any things dealing with ego or arrogance in this particular period in time. So since we are doing a month-long reading, this Moonology deck is really good for that because it tells us about how long the energies will take place. So with the full moon, it's going to be the next full moon. From what I remember, we have a strawberry moon on its way. And that should be pretty interesting there. I forget which sign it's going to be in, but I'll come back to that a bit later. Now, for your specific reading, what I get are a few cards that tell us a little bit about the recent past. So you have, in this, we have the 5 of Wands, clarified by, of course, we have to cover up nudie bombs here, the World card, clarifying that. So when we have the 5 of Wands in the reverse, this is a period in time in which we're no longer competing with someone, then we're relinquishing control over a system or an issue. We're no longer fighting for the stability or for the praise and the accolades. You're trying to take a step back. So that's where that don't let your pride get in the way message begins to resonate in this particular reading. When we talk about little situations like ego death, it's almost like we've realized that the energy that we've placed into the ego, we need to kind of cull that, relinquish it, so that way we can complete this cycle. So with The World card in the reverse, it tells us that the reason why you're relinquishing control is because you feel that something has not been wrapped up. You have not ascended to a new stage in your life. Additionally, something that was important to you that you have been working on is now kind of stuck, and it doesn't seem like there's a way for that to level up quite well enough for it to proceed into the next stage of your life. It can also, I mean, a lot of people say it's the unfinished business card because this is the very last stage that you need to get to in order to get back to the full, which is the new beginning. With that said, when I see the two of these things, it's like almost like a person taking a step back and saying to themselves, you know, either something feels missing or I want to go ahead and close something out. I feel like I'm stuck in this cycle of things that are taking shape in my life, and I just kind of want the conflict and the chaos to stop, so that way I can feel a little bit more stable in the development of my life. You know, oftentimes when we have conflict with people, it can be the actions that have been taken in the past that are now leading to the inactivity of the future. Sorry. When it comes to any kind of arguments you may have had in the past, disagreements, you know, falling outs, things of that nature, it can sometimes feel like things have been left unsaid or unfinished or undisclosed. And so that might be what you were feeling a little bit in the recent past. Because now, the reason why I say that is because you have two cards that indicate the reason for this taking place. The first one is the Eight of Wands in the reversed, which is talking about a block of communication, a lack of progress, a forward movement, things being stymied in a way in which you feel like you can't move forward. And the reason for this is the Three of Swords in the upright, which talks about a painful situation. So whatever was blocked in the past, if you had like a Two of Swords moment where there was no communication or there was a blockage of, or an impasse of two opposing ideas, then the third sword that comes in is the thing that breaks that impasse, which then leads to the Four of Swords, allowing you to recover and recuperate and heal from the Three of Swords moment. So I look at the Three of Swords as kind of like a mini tower moment. It's the point in which you realize something was not right. Something went terribly wrong. And the pain that you experience is necessary so that you can then move into the path of correction. So oftentimes in the nervous system, you know, we have the ability to feel pain. Well, why is it there? It's there because we need to know when things are good for us, good for our body, and when they are not. If you touch a hot stove, if you didn't feel pain, you would just leave that hand there and then it would get severely damaged. But the very fact that you can feel a little bit of the pain and it's sharp and it's very profound, it allows for you to take a step back and preserve the rest of that hand. You know, you get hit by, you know, you say nasty things to people and then someone eventually just bangs you out. And when you're holding your teeth in your hand and sitting upright, you just kind of realize, maybe I shouldn't talk so much shit to people, and maybe I should actually learn from this lesson. So this is kind of the progenitor of knowledge, well, wisdom, we can say. I know that Richard Loppe often talks about the idea that when you repeat certain cycles, it's to help you learn. Sometimes you have to repeat them often in order for you to really learn, to really get the message, because some people just will not get it until it becomes so painful and unbearable that you have no choice but to change. I'm kind of getting those vibes with this because I'm understanding that in your specific situation, where there was a lack of communication. This lack of communication, I feel, has set you in motion to reflect on the pain that caused you. And furthermore, if there was a separation, which the Three of Swords also talks about, then you would need to understand what caused the separation. And then finally, if you want to mend that, you can. If you need to close that out, you should, whether or not you choose to accept a person back into your life or not. Additionally, in the near future, kind of see that happening, because we have here the Justice card. Justice is all about righting wrongs, letting karma play out, receiving kind of the fruits of whatever you've sown. So whatever, you reap what you sow. That's basically card number 11, which is Justice card. And additionally, it can be about being fair and non-judgmental as well, and coming to an agreement in which both sides can agree on a fair and balanced reconciliation of ideas. So it can, in some ways, represent reconciliation, just depending on the context of the rest of the cards around it, which can help you to understand. What clarifies that is the Two of Wands and the 10 of Wands. 2 plus 10 is 12. That's the Three of Wands, which talks about waiting for ships to come in. So you're hoping for a reconciliation with an individual, which will then allow you to close out a cycle that has left you feeling stuck and dare I say, feeling like life is at a standstill until you can, until you can resolve the matter. Whatever that situation is for you, I mean, the signifier that I got from this was the King of Cups. And I just explained in Tars's reading about what the King of Cups is about and the waves that are usually insinuated in the background. So the waves in the background represents the surrounding environment to which the person operates. So with the King of Cups, he's able to hold his chalice. He's able to sit down and be emotionally sound, reserved, and stable and steady in the face of chaos, which is why he is the King of Cups. No matter what's going on in his life, he's able to overcome those difficulties despite there being just absolute bedlam fronts, here, there, and everywhere in his life. With the Two of Pentacles, they also have those same waves. And it's about understanding, balancing out things in your material realm, despite them creating chaos in the world around you. So this can be like financial crisis, taking a hit in the finances somewhere, moving house, or having to adapt to changes in a market or an environment. So that is important for us to kind of understand how those waves come into play. So whatever is taking place in your life, that could be some chaos around you. And it's important for you to get grounded and centered, so that way you can overcome the matter, but also remain centered in your own emotional stability in order for that to take place. So that said, that would signify that the outcome of this really feels stagnant to me. I'm not going to lie about that. So you have, that came out on the side, you have the Seven of Pentacles, which talks about a period of reflection. After you receive the Six of Pentacles, you have one pentacle that shows up next to your feet, and you're just like, what am I going to do with that? Am I going to use this to move forward to the Eight of Pentacles and really work on this? Or I'm going to take it back and go back to the Six of Pentacles and receive more financial assistance or material assistance? What is it that I value in this? So it almost gives me a level of indecision in the desired outcome. So with this, the reason why I say it feels indecisive is because it hasn't been raised upwards. You haven't fully reflected on whether or not you want to proceed with this or if it's going to be worthwhile. So, and the other thing that communicates this to me is the Page of Swords, which is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius in your mind as well, in your reading. It's a person who's basically decided to live life vicariously rather than actually being fully involved in it. And with the Page of Swords in the reverse, this is the type of person who will not actively communicate, but will passively communicate. They will look at people's social media. This is what other tarot card readers say as well. They'll look at social media to try to understand what's going on in a person's life. They'll spy. They will hold in what they need to speak aloud out of fear, which to me is insane. I mean, maybe in the past I felt that kind of way with certain circumstances, but now I just don't give a fuck. I just don't care. If I have to say something to someone, my Sagittarian ascendant will kick in and just blurt out the first thing that needs to come out. And the Taurus side of it does not care, and the Virgo side of it may be sharp about it. And I can appreciate that. As I got older in my life, I realized that the fear of speaking your mind to people is one of the biggest things that holds people back from their true potential. But on the other hand, being too sharp with your words and being too brazen can communicate to people more of an ignorance of a situation rather than an understanding of it. So it's important to strike when there is an informed understanding and knowledge of a matter. Because if you don't have a balance between the two, that's how you end up with misunderstandings, assumptions, which assumptions can be dangerous, and it can lead to disreputable conversations with people, to say the least. I don't think I don't think you feel ready yet. I don't think that you feel ready yet to confront this situation. As a fixed sign and dealing with the mental realm, the intellectual sphere, my experience with Aquarians, and I say this as a person with 4 placements in the 11th house, Aquarians have the ability to remain perpetually stuck in a way of thinking that may or may not be conducive to their future. And I say this because as that fixed air, Aquarians have the great ability to change, and they represent the sign of change. That is until they think that they're right. And just like the Taurus, which I am a Taurus, if you believe you're right and you don't change your mind, you better be fucking right. Otherwise, it can ruin a lot in your life. Whatever is going on in your specific situation, because I don't know the scenario for you specifically. All I know is that you have been separated from someone. You are now balancing your emotions out and trying to come to a compromising future for this, because what this Two of Wands and the Ten of Wands, it tells me that you're trying to the feeling of planning and weighing the options and all of that is starting to take a toll on you. Because if you stay in the intellectual sphere too long without taking action, then it almost defeats the purpose of even being able to take action on anything. You can't be in love with thinking. And I can, again, attest to that because I've been there. I have a Mercury in Gemini opposite Uranus. And it can be, for me, either I'll think things to death or I'll just blur out the first thing and it can actually just rock a few boats, you know, if it not the entire harbor. So I think it's important for people to just be able to temper whatever it is that you want to say it, move on. Your advice is this: Ten of Cups in the reverse, Ace of Pentacles. If you feel unhappy in your life with a specific thing, languishing in the thought of what could be, what could come, the possibility, that is only potential energy, it's not kinetic. If you want to have a new start, you have to offer something first. When you're unhappy with a situation, you have to give something first in order for that thing to have a solid foundation. Consider the foundation that you have built things on in the past, which have led to, you know, turmoil, difficulty, things of that nature. Was the foundation sound? If it has not been sound, then you can always create a new one. You can always just dig up the house and the foundation, pour a new bit of tarmac, new bit of concrete, and make that foundation sturdier than ever before. If you do that, it's always in your capability to offer something solid and stable to someone, or to people in general, or even to yourself, when you are finding that things are a bit tumultuous and difficult. So that's going to be it. I'll leave it there. I think we're at 21 minutes already, 22 almost. This has been Crucible Tarot. Thanks so much for joining. If you like what you see here, again, please be sure to support the channel by liking, sharing, subscribing, and all that other good stuff. I'm going to leave it here. Thanks so much for your time and attention. And until next time, VIAM, GEVURAH, AMBULO.